set up?
No, because Keith was out of town last week, and then Jimmy's out of town this week.
Okay.
So,
I knew I hadn't seen that. I've been watching you,
yeah.
trying to make sure, but
Everybody's got crazy schedules. I'm gonna talk to Matt and just see if we can draft something
Right,
and get it to us, and then we can look at it
my dad watches it
ASAP,
every day.
okay.
instead of waiting for.
Told me how to win
Yeah.
a game. 'Cause he-
I just want to make sure I didn't miss something.
So Mitch and I went to Prices Right Live.
Nice.
At the casino, Mitch got called. But he failed.
What's up?
Cleaned up before you came?
Yeah, I did, man.
You
You didn't work today, did you? I sure did. Work every day. Yeah, but you had to spray. Once you get one thing done, you gotta work on it and spray and bush hog.
He's doing well. He's getting
You
ready.
should come bush hog, it's kinda creepy.
Just blessed.
Sir? You probably got one right there. Grab it. Thank you, sir. I don't know about that quarter.
Here's my neighbor. You miss me that much?
I do.
I thought that was your car out there.
I'm like old times, except for sit down here. That's okay. Well, we get to see you anyway, because you're out cutting all these lawns right now.
Come help me.
I don't have that much time on
Umbrella?
me. Yeah.
What, you a girl?
I don't think I'm actually.
Gotta work on my
What
tan.
are they doing to the sidewalks? We're going to call to order the Tipton Common Council meeting. And just as a reminder, turn on your microphones in front of you if they are off, and we'll start with Pledge Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda are the minutes from the last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting as written.
Second.
Motion by Rich and seconded by Rick. All those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Any amendments to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, this is the second meeting of the month, so we'll start with Board of Works and Safety.
We had a 4-minute meeting today. We start with fire. Normal runs, we run about 75 to 80% of our fire runs are actually for EMS. And Chief Bittner has got the department doing lots of training, gas line training, helicopter type training, bleed training, so all good things. Because we are fully staffed, that's another good thing. So Ross and Lucas Clark are officially done with Fire 1 and 2. Adrian Carrillo and Lucas Jones are EMT certified. And there's just been a lot of training, testing of equipment, community outreach. So the fire department is up and going. On the police side, we're scaling up because we are fully staffed, but we still have people going through public medical. We have people going through FTO, the academy. So we're working up on that. And if you actually look at the breakdown of tickets, not just tickets, but everything the police are doing. Total traffic stops in May were 157. The next closest was April, 131. Before that, we were in the double digits. So now that we're fully staffed, you're kind of starting to see some of that, at least in traffic stops, calls and whatnot. And then we did come to an agreement with the county to purchase the K9 plus equipment plus Zach Huff's body armor for $12,750, and that's in Chief Stout's budget because we used to have 2 K9s, and this will give us our second K9. And then we have a meeting tomorrow with the county about block security systems, possibly putting cameras around town, traffic cameras. That's about it.
Thanks, Nate. Next is Golf Advisory Committee.
Golf Advisory did meet. I was unable to be there, and I haven't seen any reports back. Weather's been good. Golf course looks great.
Agreed. Solid Waste District.
We did meet. It was just a very short meeting, not really a report from it. It was over in 5 minutes.
Thanks, Tim. Street, Alley, and Sidewalk.
Street, alley, and sidewalk did meet. Just a couple of reports. The sidewalk program's in full force now. They're going gangbusters on that. All the community crossing grants are in progress. The one thing that we did talk about, we did discuss the speed limit out at this golf course, which has been brought to our attention a few times. And Mike and Chief Stout had a couple of other places that they thought the speed limits needed to be adjusted. So Mike's going to roll that all up into one ordinance, and we'll take care of that all at one time. And that was it.
Very good. Next is Planning Commission.
We did meet. It was a short meeting. The only thing we had on the agenda, we went through and approved the Bergman subdivision that the BZA approved. So that was pretty much it. About pretty short.
Very good. Utility meeting.
Utility meeting met last Monday in these chambers. It was a fairly short meeting. Jim said that there was if anybody's noticed, not much work going on 28. They had a piece of equipment breakdown, and I believe they're waiting on parts for that. Other than that, utilities are doing well.
Very good. That concludes our committee reports, which then launches us into new business. And you all have in your packets information from the Humane Society. So if you have any questions, I think it'd be an appropriate place to start. Otherwise, what do we say, 10 minutes, or how long do you need, Rick?
10 minutes.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. You guys all know me, but for those that might be watching the meeting, my name is Rick Chandler, and the capacity I come in front of you this evening would be as the treasurer for the Humane Society of Tipton County. First of all, I want to thank you for entering into the Animal Services contract with us. It's something that Tipton needed for a long time, both the city of Tipton as well as Tipton County. And it's something that has worked out very, very well. We've been able to truly make an impact in the community through this contract, and also through other services we provide through kind of the guise of the Humane Society and their operations. Just kind of a quick summary here for the report. First footnote really doesn't apply because it's more of a county issue. I will say any animal that we had taken in prior to 1/1 of this year, those expenses are not accounted for. We were open on a part basis, kind of starting around August 1. We knew there was going to be an agreement reached in principle. We'd already talked about it. So as a goodwill gesture, we went ahead and was able to care for those animals that came in between 8/1 and 1/1 and did so, and there are no charges for those. Also, as a reminder, each animal's expenses, when we get an animal in that's not reclaimed, and we have to get it ready for adoption, spay, neuter, flea treatment, things of that nature, but those expenses are capped at $200. So if you have an animal that comes in, needs a leg amputation, serious heartworm condition, things like that, that is on the Humane Society's bill and comes out of the Humane Society's bucket, not the Animal Services bucket. You can see kind of what the expenses look like as far as the medical expenses go. That's a breakdown. The net expense January through May, $1,525.74 on medical there. So we don't have a whole lot that we've had to put into those medical expenses. The back page of that same 2-page document shows the animals, 17 total, 14 cats, 3 dogs. And when I say cats, I want to make a very clear distinction. These are domesticated cats that have been dumped, abandoned, people moved away. These are not feral cats. Feral cats, and we do have feral cats here in the city. A lot of people may think that is only a county issue. It is not. It is also a city issue. But feral cats are taken care of through the TNR program. TNR stands for Trap, Neuter, Release,
And that program is funded exclusively by the Humane Society through donations, a small grant provided by the Tipton County Foundation, vouchers, and just through volunteers going after that and getting those numbers done. So when you see cats, that does not include those cats. Those cats are funded completely separately and are not included in the numbers. Intake numbers, unfortunately, are trending up. That's true of every humane society, every animal shelter here in this country. It's hard to look at the data and say, through May, we've done this much, project that out to 12 months, and that should be what it looks like for January through December of the following year. It's hard to say that because the intake numbers are tending up. Plus, you have to realize right now, vet services are hard to come by. So to get an animal in for a spay and neuter, it may be 4 to 6 weeks from the moment we get them and they're eligible for adoption as far as the 72-hour hold being over with versus having that actually done. So there's still some expenses that'll be added to on that. And your numbers are pretty low compared to the county. So that's the 2-page kind of Word document summary. If we go over to the spreadsheet here, that kind of lists all of the animal services expenditures, and how that works is the city, county, and the Humane Society each split operating costs by 1/3 as far as things like trash, employee, utilities, internet, things of that nature. Animal expenses for medical are true to the municipality themselves. So if the county has a bunch of animals coming in, city's not paying for them. If it's flip-flopped around, county's not paying for the city animals that come in. One thing I do want to denote kind of with the asterisks there is though we needed an employee much sooner, we were not able to hire an employee until June 3rd. We had a switch with our accountant and some other things that kind of prohibited us from doing that, but we've estimated it out January through May so you can see what those expenses run. So that's why you have two totals. In green would be the actual expenditures if we had had an employee since January. If you go down to actual expenses, that factors out all of those employee costs because we had no employee costs incurred until the month of June. So right now, $4,797.61 is all that's been spent by the city for animal services. Again, it's kind of a reminder of the way the contract works. Is the service contract runs January through December with a funding amount of $28,000. That contract automatically renews without any changes needing to be made unless one party or another would want changes to the contract or changes to the funding. My recommendation before this council would be to keep the funding for one more year at $28,000, so we have more data to work with. When we hit, May, June of next year, and I come before you, there's a very good chance that these numbers continue trending low, but the ask for 26 may be indeed a little bit lower than what the ask has been for the last couple of years. The last thing I want to remind you is we truly are only going to spend the money that we need to spend from our municipal partners. So in other words, at the end of this year, if the spending for the spending for the city is only $16,000, well, you gave us $28,000. We're going to write the check back to the municipality for $12,000 and give that to Tammy so it can be redeposited into the general fund so that we truly aren't holding on to money. And I would say that's a big distinction maybe over other causes that you guys are funding, is this is a true service contract. It's not our money carte blanche to put wherever we want with whatever program we want. It's very finite to the things dictated in the contract, and any additional funding above and beyond what was necessary to satisfy the contract will be returned to the municipality. So that was kind of quick. It was a big high step, I know. I am happy, however, to answer any questions that might be had either today or if you have questions after the meeting and you want to contact me. I'm always happy to speak about this and answer any questions that might be out there.
So you were able to hire somebody?
We are.
Who?
Cheryl Emmerich, the former community affairs officer for the city.
Okay.
And she had done a tremendous job.
Yeah, okay.
Just to be certain, there have been 14 dogs, 3 dogs, 14 cats, 17 total, January 1 through May 31st.
That's correct.
How are those identified? Just where they're picked up?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
It's all based on whether they.
I was out there a few weeks ago, and one of the volunteers, I just asked a question. She said a lot of times people do end up, she couldn't give me a percent. She said it's pretty frequent that someone will come and pick up the dog, it's theirs. Are we tracking whether those are habitual? Because she wasn't sure. Like if they're repeat people that are constantly losing dog.
If we actually have to intake the animals, yes, those are being logged. But if it's pretty much, we get to the shelter with the animal and they're meeting us at the same time, those aren't being put into the system because the animal's not being processed. The animal's been processed, meaning that we've logged it into our computer system. They show up a few hours later, hey, I think you got our dog. Those are absolutely being tracked. Now, I would have to review the city ordinance to see if there's any sort of penalties beyond the reclaim fee. There is a small reclaim fee of $20 per day, up a maximum of $60 paid out. If the animal is detained and not claimed, then at that point it would be
A humane society, so you mean?
correct.
Okay, because you remember, we changed the Lost Star, I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, we don't do that.
So I'm just saying, maybe in the future, we could work with Cheryl if she's like,
Sure.
hey, we got this one dog that we're getting 5 times a month, it seems, and it becomes a nuisance. Maybe we could turn that into, I think we raised it to $500 on the 5th offense. Just so we're not wasting time with the Humane
Sure.
Society or CSO or anything like that.
And we would certainly be open to that. We want this to be a good partnership that works well in both directions and we're not being taken advantage of by just a handful of our citizens.
Where would them funds go? Right
We go
to
back to
them?
the general fund. No, it's an ordinance violation. We've only, I think, prosecuted it a handful of times. But it was so low. When Rick and I were on the ordinance committee, we just changed it because we weren't sure it was being enforced. We maybe thought maybe it was too low to de-incentivize people from losing their dog all the time. So,
The other thing we changed too, if you remember, was the tag registration fee on the animals because nobody was doing that essentially.
it was $2
Yeah.
registration.
Sheep.
If you had a dog in town, so we just said, forget it. Cool, that was all I had.
Any other questions for Rick?
Just for public knowledge too, is there anything that you'd like to see? Because I know the public donates things to you that you are in need of right now or
Absolutely.
anything like that the public may see and be able to help out also.
Well, we're always in need of lots of different things. We're in need of food for the pet food pantry. Cleaning supplies. There's typically, if you go to our website, which is tiptonhumane.com, I think there's an Amazon list maybe up there. There's always odds and ends that we could always use. And we're always appreciative. We could always use volunteers too. I mean, we have a lot, but we need a lot. So we'd be appreciative of anyone that would want to volunteer in any way for the Humane Society. We just, we value partnerships. We value our citizens that want to come out and make a difference and want to help with it. So, and again, we value the contract with the city providing animal services. I think it's something that's been very, very successful. And our goal, this is a question that was asked in the county, so I will go ahead and bring this up real quick, is we would like to get to the point where maybe grants start coming in larger and on a regular basis, where we can say, okay, we're going to ask less of you guys, we're going to ask less of the county, and we're going to have to contribute a little bit less too because of these grants. Most humane societies looking for sizable grants, you have to be operating as a shelter for about 24 months, 2 years before they're going to look at any of that kind of stuff because they want to see the track record there. And we just don't have that yet. The only sizable grant that we received, and we received a couple $100 here, $100 there, is from the foundation for $5,000. And what had happened there is there was another individual doing TNR work out in the community. And she's just not really able to do that work like she used to. So essentially, we took over that grant and was able to put that toward our TNR services.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
No items under old business today. Under my report, just I'm going to jump on the statement Ken made about the signage out in the areas you brought to our attention the last meeting and our previous meeting. We actually have to adopt those into our sign ordinance first. So even back when we did annexation, we didn't update our sign ordinance to include those, but we've got to do that step first, and then we can address the speed limit. So just want to add that small piece of detail on that. Just another acknowledgement, the crews that are working at Park Road with a gas line break there. It did take us roughly 3 hours to get that resolved in an area. There are no injuries reported. So just want to commend the crew out there, public safety that was on scene to help create a safe environment. We did have to evacuate, I think, 4 trailers on Park Road just as a safety precaution, but kudos to them. And then acknowledge that CCMG 2023 is Community Crossings Matching Grant. Those projects are taking place now. We've had a little bit of confusion on some of the closed ADA ramps, which were not to our liking. However, those should get resolved here in the next couple weeks. So weather looks good for those projects as we move forward. Next, we have resolutions and ordinances, and we don't have any new business under there. There should be some new business coming to the council likely next month. And then with that, we're moving on to claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve for payment claims 176739 through 176869 in the amount of $904,876.81.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve claims. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We're now to petitions, comments, and memorials.
Andy Pumphrey, 306 Rosewood Street, last year, but there's a retention pond in my neighborhood, and I think the street department put something in the pond to kind of kill the moss and algae. I'm wanting to know if that could be done this year, because it's looking pretty nasty. That's it.
Thanks, Andy.
I'll just say very quickly from back here, thank you. Appreciate it.
Bob Inger, Tipton. I'll try to keep this to a comment, not a question. Wondering if there's any update on the public safety building and what you may or may not be gonna do. I know it's been talked about for, I think, guess how many years in administration. Thank you.
I can answer that. Actually, probably could have put that in the mayor's report. So we've actually received back the completion of the feasibility study. With the completion of that, we've actually passed it on to our municipal advisors. So they'll actually crunch the numbers on that, provide us with some funding scenarios. Basically, they offered us 4 scenarios for projects that we could entertain. The fourth one being nothing. We just acknowledge that doing nothing is an answer. We won't choose that option, but nonetheless, so Reedy's going to do that analysis, provide us back with some funding scenarios. When could we afford a project and how much? And then based on those answers, the council at large will start engaging probably in work sessions on what do we want that project to look like moving forward and how soon. So that's where it's at the moment. It's in the hands of the municipal advisors to figure out when can we afford a project and how much. You're welcome.
Just to add to that, though, that they were public meetings, but I think they were public, but no one showed up. 4 or 5? I can't remember.
5.
We've had so many meetings with the architects, leadership only meetings with all the police seem to come, all the fire seem to come. Corey, Ken and I were in attendance. So for the last few months, we've been knee deep in planning and all this stuff. So that's where we got all the info. It's not like you can just call municipal advisor and like give us an option. We put in a lot of work. And
Greg?
we're open to. I agree that it's never been an option to do nothing.
Correct.
So we're excited to see what some options they can come up with.
Yeah, so the feasibility is just as a review, provided us a snapshot, detailed list of the current conditions, an assessment of the space needs. So as we acknowledge, since that building was constructed, both departments have doubled in size. So there's been little appreciation for what space needs they might have in their facility. And also as we look at the future, what future needs exist between both departments, acknowledging that likely both will, given recent history, both will double in the next probably the next 30 years. So again, just trying to appreciate what those all look like and then trying to scope a project based on all that information. So that's all in the feasibility study that will, when it's presented to the council, after the municipal advisors review it, will become, of course, a public document. So we'll have that on our website for folks to review. 90-page easy read. If you can believe that. But yeah, a lot of work with various stakeholders, especially the departments, has been conducted over the last 5 months.
Any kind of estimate of a time frame on certain steps?
Unfortunately not, and that because of the financial review, the projects were large enough in size that it's unlikely that's going to be short term, but there'll likely be a short term consideration just because of the very poor conditions of the public safety building that will likely address. Some of it's to do with health and safety with the evidence room, some of the bunk rooms with the fire department. We want to see those get addressed sooner rather than later. But until we hear back from Reedy Financial, we won't really know any timelines on when that bigger project might take place. Welcome. Any other items? Council?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted it on camera in case you guys needed stuff out there.